Hello again, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. So, Suits, a legal drama with a twist, created by Aaron Korsh for the USA Network. It was highly successful, running for the better part of a decade, from 2011 to 2019. Interesting premise, good writing, and most important of all, a central cast that had exceptional chemistry with one another. The series went out on a high note 6 years ago, and after a surge in viewership through Netflix in 2023, parent company NBC Universal decided to greenlight a sequel/spin-off series titled Suits LA. We have the same creative team, the same visual aesthetic, only on the other side of the country, a few returning faces from the original series in a guest spot capacity, and we even have the exact same version of that series' iconic theme song. The only real difference on the surface, other than the change in setting, is the move from cable on the USA Network to broadcast on the NBC Network, both channels being owned by parent company NBC Universal. Still, everything else is pretty much the same, give or take a few superficial things, so surely all signs point to this series being a success, right? Well, not exactly. I'm honestly worried about this series' future once its inaugural season wraps. If you were to start with episode 1, for the first few minutes, you'd feel a certain familiarity. It clearly comes from the DNA of Suits, but the longer you watch, you start to realize that this show is like the little brother who desperately wants to be like their older sibling, but other than a few surface similarities, are failing miserably at doing so. Let's start with the obvious, the leads. Look, Stephen Amell is a great actor. I think he more than proved that for the better part of a decade playing Oliver Queen on Arrow. But that's the problem. He fell into playing that character and did it so well and for so long without much deviation that his acting style sort of became that archetype, if that makes any sense. Just take a moment and really look at it. All his most recent roles, Oliver Queen, Casey Jones, Garrett Kelton, Jack Spade, all the same character. Okay, not literally the same character, but you know what I mean. They're all cut from the same cloth and require the same kind of performance from Amell. The writers don't really know how to write a role for this guy that doesn't somehow resemble the Oliver Queen role in certain shades. First of all, the constant use of flashbacks, just like on Arrow. Season-long hallucinations of a dead loved one, just like on Arrow. The way Ted Black carries himself in the present, just like how Oliver Queen carries himself during his time as mayor on Arrow. The way Ted carries himself in the past timeline, like how Oliver Queen carried himself after he started working with the police in the later seasons of Arrow. Oh, you think I'm kidding? I promise you I'm not. There is literally a scene in one of the early episodes, I think it's like episode 2 or 3, where in the flashbacks in the 2010 timeline, Ted Black is dead set on taking down a mob boss, and he straight up barges into this guy's house with a SWAT team, and in his Green Arrow voice, scolds the guy and tells him he's under arrest. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was literally waiting for the Arrow theme song to start playing and for Amell to say, "You have failed this city." They clearly want him to be like Harvey Specter, but with a backstory that harkens back to the darkness of Oliver Queen's backstory on Arrow, and tonally it's confuses all hell. Second, the fan service serves no purpose. Now look, I personally have never understood why the idea of fan service rubs so many people the wrong way. It makes no sense to me at all. I've always said I'm a fan, so service me. I mean, if you enjoy a certain property, shouldn't it stand to reason that providing the viewer with more of what attracts them to said property is the logical thing to do? I mean, you can't go wrong with more of what people already love, right? Well, this series brought me to the realization that, well-intended or not, fan service can absolutely fall flat on its fucking face and can even be detrimental if it's not actually contributing something meaningful to the narrative. We've had 3 guest appearances by Gabriel Macht reprising his role as Harvey Specter, and one of David Costabile reprising his role as Daniel Hardman, with Rick Hoffman's Louis Litt set to follow soon. And while I was excited to see the characters I had invested so much time in return to the fold, the only purpose they served was to remind me that, oh yeah, this is not that same show that I enjoyed so much. In his 3 appearances, Harvey Specter adds nothing substantial to the narrative. They tried to retroactively make it seem like he knew Ted from way back in the day, like before the original Suits happened or during the time that show was on. I'm not exactly clear about how long he's supposed to have known him for, but it's so forced in the flashbacks, and as is his appearance when he appears in the present timeline too. It's just forced all around. We're given some insight into his life post-Suits, but ultimately, the only reason that Harvey is here is to try and bring in viewers from the OG series. Same thing with Daniel Hardman, and I guarantee you it'll be the same damn thing with Louis Litt in the coming weeks. The show thinks that it doesn't need these cameos, that it's just kind of there to connect it, but it doesn't realize how much narratively it's using these cameos as a crutch, and that's not a good thing. Third, it's lacking a narrative twist to make this series unique. What worked so well about the original Suits and separated it from other law dramas like The Good Wife was, outside of the cast's amazing chemistry with one another of course, was that it was a legal drama where the main character was a fraud from the start, but he brought so much law knowledge to his firm that gradually all of the senior partners end up complicit in upholding his facade as they find out and refuse to terminate and or turn him in, partially because they've taken a liking to him, but mainly as a financial incentive. But here, I guess the twist is supposed to be that Ted's former law partner secretly pushes him out of a merger with another law firm run by his ex-girlfriend. Unless they plan on dropping some bombshell at the end of the season, this is the lamest fucking twist they possibly could have come up with. Not only is this shit lazy as hell, but what are the stakes? No, please explain to me why I'm supposed to give a flying shit this guy got screwed out of a business merger with his so-called friend and ex-girlfriend. Why the hell am I supposed to care? I can't even tell you what kind of reality this is supposed to be set in. Sometimes you have real-life actors portraying fictionalized versions of themselves a la Curb Your Enthusiasm, like when the legendary John Amos guest starred, but then you turn around and you have an episode where former Nickelodeon actress Victoria Justice comes in and plays a 100% fictional character, so I don't fucking know. If there's anyone on this show who I actually think is doing a decent job with the material, it's Josh McDermott, who plays Ted's ex-law partner and friend Stuart Lane. Now, it might just be because I hated The Walking Dead so goddamn much and the character that he played on there, like with a seething passion, but seeing him play a character that's so starkly different from that has been refreshing, and in my opinion, he actually seems to be a pretty decent actor. As for the supporting cast, everyone seems to be doing the best with what they're given. Look, I don't wish this series any ill will at all. I like the actors, and I like the world that Suits resides in, for the most part, but you've gotta pick a tone, guys. And even more so, you need to establish a cohesive narrative to serialize this goddamn thing, because the fucking flashbacks aren't doing it. At least not very well. The original Suits did that marvelously. They had smaller cases that they dealt with throughout the seasons as mini B-plots, but there was always a season-long A-plot that took shape over the course of the season. And over the course of the entire series, the storylines naturally progressed from a more lighthearted approach to a much darker one, and the flashbacks were used sparingly to inform those storylines, to make them more full and give them more backstory, not as a way of trying to sew a narrative together from a past timeline to the future. And as the original Suits evolved from a more lighthearted approach to a more darker one over that 9-year run, when you go back and watch it from beginning to end, you can see how it organically reached that point. You know, it's just there in the writing, as opposed to this just trying to force everything all at once in a matter of a few episodes of a freshman season of a spin-off that has none of the primary cast. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. It seems like they're trying, but they're just throwing everything at the wall, and nobody's really able to figure out what is going to stick. Now, I sincerely do hope that it gets better before the end of the season. I think the NBC ordered this for about 13 episodes. I'm not sure, I could be wrong. Maybe it's 16 like the original, because I know when the original Suits was on USA, it had 16 episodes every season, with the exception of the final season, which was just 10. But I'm not sure. For this show's sake, I hope it's 16, so they have a little more time to try and figure things out before the end of the season, but I don't know. I hope that Even if they don't manage to figure out a narrative cohesion this season, the NBC still renews it for season 2, so it can be given a little bit more time to find its voice. I mean, some of the best series in TV history had less than stellar first seasons, but went on to have legendary, strong runs thereafter. Just look at The Simpsons during the golden era in the 90s, or Cheers during its run in the 80s into the early 90s. So I'm not giving up hope. Maybe the assurance of a renewal could give the creatives a chance to sit back and review what they've done thus far and use the off time to improve the writing for next season. And if it does manage to turn things around and ends up potentially having a strong second season, then I'll do a follow-up to this video and address that. But for now, all we can do is finish off the remainder of this one and see what comes of it. But what do you all think about this show? Do you love it? Hate it? Don't care for it? Never seen it? Have no clue what the hell I'm talking about? Whatever your take is, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I'd like to thank you all for your time. I sincerely appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, I kindly ask that you subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, hit the bell for notifications, and share this with anyone that you feel may be interested. Until next time everyone, be safe, take care of yourselves and each other.